Why only certain men attract faithful women and why you aren't, or why maybe you think that it's impossible nowadays to attract a faithful woman because of social media, because of feminism, because women have so many options and all of that. And I understand it's very hard to believe. you know at the same time, is it actually possible to attract a woman who is going to be faithful to you? Yes. And if you think no, I want to challenge you a little bit. Now, let me tell you this. There are women that will always cheat. Always. You cannot change them. Don't even try. Please, don't even try. Like, if this kind of woman wants to change, cool. But don't try to improve her, to be her coach or her therapist, because it just will not work. Your role is to be a boyfriend, not her therapist or a coach. Yeah. But usually the kind of woman that cheat very rarely change. It takes a lot of work, a lot of internal work to actually change, which most women don't want to take responsibility. Now, like I said, there are faithful women out there. If you think that there are no women that are going to be faithful to you, you probably come from trauma. You probably come from pain because your ex cheated on you, right? You experienced gaslighting, manipulation. Your heart was broken. You started to feel a little bit depressed, of course. And now you think all women are going to be like this. But this is your own projection. It's not because your ex acted this way that all women are going to act the same way. And what's very possible is that because your ex acted this way, you keep on attracting similar women as your ex. And I'll explain to you how you can change that, because it's actually possible. Also, hypergamy is not an universal truth. Yes, there will be some women that seek better options, but there are also women that do not seek better options. They are very happy with their partner. They know that they can always find a partner who has more money, more status, and blah, 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 but they don't care. They just don't care because they know that they have found a very healthy and powerful relationship. And that's enough for them. And this is a reality. It's a fucking reality. The problem is because you're focusing so much on the negative, you think all women are hypergamous. But the reality isn't black and white like this. There's more nuances. And by the way, hypergamy is in some ways real for women in the sense that there might be the impulse, right, to want a better option. But it's the same thing for us men. We also might have the impulse to seek a better option. And I think it's natural for human beings to experience this desire, but it doesn't mean that we have to respond to that desire. There are relationships out there that function in a very healthy way without the woman seeking better options. That's just the truth. It's a reality. Sure, we can argue that because of social media and stuff like that, it's less and less. It's possible. I don't know. I don't have the statistic. But it's still also possible to meet a woman who will not do that. Your dating experiences, and this is actually connected to the hypergamy thing. All the dating experiences that you have, they are just a reflection of your own belief and emotional wounding, basically your past experiences. Because everything that happens to you is in such a way that you form beliefs, right? You form defense mechanism to protect yourself from future hurt. And basically, when you mention that all women cheat, that all women cannot be trusted, this could easily be a limiting belief. This could easily be a coping mechanism to not commit to any woman, because if you commit to a woman, it means that there is the risk of getting cheated on again, right? And you don't want to face that, right? Because it was too painful in the past. And it's just too risky. And that's why you develop the belief of like, all women cheat, all women cannot be trusted. Yeah, I mean, it protects you well to think like this, but at the same time, it blocks you to attract the right kind of woman, which leads me to the last point. If you're really serious about attracting a long-term and healthy relationship, you will need to become an energetic match. Let me repeat, energetic match to your ideal woman. If you don't connect with her frequency, it's impossible to attract her into a long-term relationship. So now the question is, well, okay, great information. How do I change my frequency? How do I become an energetic match? Well, there are 7 steps here that will really help you. This is what I teach to my clients when they join my mentoring programs, either group coaching or one-on-one, or when they join retreats like in the nature where I teach this kind of like principles and trainings. So first step, and this is going to be a hard one for some of you because I know how addictive it can be to be with a toxic woman. Even though it hurts, there's something about it that keeps attracting you, right? You keep on coming back to it. I remember a few years ago, after my first breakup, actually, that led me to feel very depressed and, questioning the whole idea of like, can I even attract a long-term relationship? I was dating women that were so toxic, bro, like ridiculously toxic. And when I was dating this woman, it was confirming the belief that fuck, dating is doomed nowadays. Like, how am I gonna fucking be in the long-term relationship when I see this woman out there? God damn, cannot trust this woman. So you need to cut them off. Like all the toxic women, friends, sex friends, or kind of like relationship, cut this woman off if you see any red flags. You have no energy for this. You deserve much better than this. Which basically means that if you do this, you'll have to be alone. And you'll have to be okay with that. And this is the hard part. A lot of men that don't want to admit it, but really are scared to be alone. It's fucking painful to be alone. It's scary. It's a big jump. I remember when I decided to be celibate 3 years ago, I was scared of the whole idea, because it meant that I would not text any woman. And back then I loved texting women, like sexting, flirting, feeling the validation. I loved it, And to cut off that and then be alone, whew, it was really, really scary. But very much necessary, right? Because it helped me to reconnect with myself, to actually get to know myself on the deeper level, right? Which leads me to the third point. You have to take 100% responsibility about the way you feel, about the way you think, about your belief system, about your behaviors, about your actions. All of this. You have to take 100% responsibility. Do not blame anyone for the way you feel. Do not blame anyone for the way you think, for the way you believe, for your actions. No. You are the one deciding how to feel, how to think, how to take an action, how to behave, etc., etc. Do not try to extrapolate this. This is your responsibility. And it starts with that. And that's really the first step of doing the internal work. You cannot do internal work if you still fake. If you don't take 100% responsibility for your own thoughts, feelings, actions, and etc. It's the real work, right? It's not like let me try to pretend to do this. No. You have to actually really, really do it. That's why a lot of guys are not ready for it. They think they are, but they're not. Because taking 100% responsibility is heavy. It can be painful. You're going to have to face the uncomfortable aspects of yourself. You're going to have to face the ugly aspects of yourself. Those aspects of yourself you're disgusted to. You don't even want to admit, right? Like, for example, I don't feel good enough, right? It's hard to admit as a man that you are not enough. And that's what it takes. And when you really feel like that you have this responsibility, then you can start to rewrite your biggest limiting beliefs. And that's going to be challenging because maybe the belief of thinking that all women cheat, that all women cannot be trusted, feels true to you. So confronting that might feel like, whoa, I'm going against my values right now. I'm going against myself. But let me ask you this. Does this belief actually serve you? Or does this belief keep you stuck in some ways? Does this belief try to protect you in some ways? And the latter is very probable, right? So in that case, you have to confront these beliefs. I'm not going to go into the whole system. If you want to have access to that, there is a free course. You can click on the link in the description. Totally for free, really. You just have to give me your email and I give you the whole process to rewrite your limiting belief, right? It's connected to dating, but you can apply it in any areas of your life. It's a general process that is very, very powerful. I've been using it for some time. It really works if you do it seriously. When you have done this kind of work by identifying and rewriting your biggest limiting belief, it's not done yet. You have to heal your attachment insecurities. Basically, what it means is that there is a certain way you relate in a relationship. And I'm going to say something that might trigger you, but it's also the truth. And I had to face that truth as well. If you got cheated on, if you experienced manipulation in a relationship, if you experienced gaslighting, is because in some ways you allowed it to happen. Now, I'm not saying that women shouldn't take any responsibility for this. Yes, they should. But you allowed this in the first place. Now, don't get me wrong, you didn't know anything better, right? You didn't have your boundaries, you was kind of discovering maybe the word of the relationship, and you got fucked over. Nothing wrong with this. But you allowed this to happen. If you truly loved yourself, if you knew how to navigate in a relationship, if you could express your boundaries and actually really assert them so that she respects your boundaries, it would have never happened. Or the relationship would have just broke because she was not reflecting your standards, right? So that's a hard pill to swallow. I get that. But it really is the reality. In some ways, in some indirect ways, you allow this to happen. So what you do when you heal your attachment insecurities is you actually learn how to relate with your woman in a healthy way in a relationship. And I can tell you logically how it looks like, but it's not really going to help you. Because the way to heal your attachment insecurity is more of a somatic experience rather than a logical experience coming from your brain, right? So yes, you can learn all about attachment repairing, right? You can ask ChatGPT, you can go on Google and maybe read some books. Great. I know a lot of people who have done that and they're still feeling insecure in their attachment. That's because you need to rewire this attachment insecurity into secure attachment from a body feeling perspective. And that's why I don't necessarily want to share the logical knowledge of this because it's not really going to serve you, right? And maybe it sounds bad to say this because I'm kind of like selling my coaching. Oh, join my coaching because you can only do this kind of work in my coaching. But at the same time, you're not going to transform yourself, especially with the attachment insecurity, by watching a YouTube video. And you know this. You know this. Like you have to actually have an experience, a proper visceral experience, like body experience of what it feels like to have secure attachment in a relationship. And you can do that through coaching, therapy, and it's what I propose, of course, in my coaching. Yeah. When you have done these 5 steps, your frequency should change very, very possible. I'm not saying it's 100% certain, but 80, 90% for sure, your vibe has shifted. So what does it mean? And this is a very important step actually. It means that you can learn to trust and follow your gut, your heart, your intuition. And that's super important when you navigate in your dating life. And if you're someone who is a little bit sensitive, a little bit spiritual, I am sure that in some moments in your life, you had that kind of like feeling like, I can feel this is true about her. I can feel something is off here, right? You cannot explain it logically, but you can feel it in your whole body like, there's something going on here. Well, you need to trust that. And you need to be able to recognize if it's a fear or if it's really your gut, your intuition, your heart telling you this, right? And that's why when you do this kind of work, right, the internal work, taking responsibility, embracing being alone, cutting off all the toxic women and healing your attachment insecurities, it's easier to access this kind of wisdom. Now, I know there's no science backing what I'm saying, but again, from experience, I know this to be true. And I am someone who trusts experience rather than a book, right? I am this kind of person. Now, you don't have to believe me, but I know for a fact that navigating my relationship right now and my dating life in the past from my heart, from my gut, from intuition was a game changer. It allowed me to kind of notice like, okay, this woman, I feel attracted to her, but I can feel something is off. So I'm not going to pursue her. Whereas, for example, when I met my girlfriend, my intuition was like, man, go for it. You know, and I had some fears around like committing to her and stuff like that. But my intuition was like, bro, you got to do it now. It's time. And it was very scary, but I did it. And obviously, when you've done all of this, you can start finally to meet and date women who reflect your highest standards. And this can be really effortless. I mean, when I met my girlfriend, I was celibate. I decided to go to a birthday party of a good friend and I met her, right? And we didn't start to date right away, but it was really effortless. I didn't have to do anything, you know. Now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen like this for you. Like, please don't take my word. I think I went through my fair share of rejection, of karma, and going through all the pitfalls and all of that. And probably the universe gave me this opportunity in a very effortless way. Maybe you need to go through a few more rejections. It's possible. But if you do this kind of work, your energy shifted. You became an energetic match for your ideal woman. And it's just a question of time of taking the right aligned actions. And then it's happening, man. It's going to happen. Thank you for watching. And I see you, my brother.